TimeOut with TIMO.
Open up your mind and let me in. Open up your mind and let me in. Open up your mind and let me in.
Welcome to TimeOut with TIMO. I'm your host, Tim Owens. As always, very grateful to have to be here today. I'm joined in person with State Senate candidate Furquan Stafford. How you doing, Mr. Stafford?
How you doing, Mr. Tim?
Doing well, man. Finally able to get a chance to sit down and chat with you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Great to be here. Appreciate the opportunity. Look forward to the show.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do, man. I'm going to let you tell me about yourself and what got you involved in politics. Just, give me a little history about you.
Well, I was introduced to the Republican Party back in 1991.
Okay.
92. I went to McCook, Nebraska, a small town of 8,000 white people. The only black people was on the basketball team. So coming from College Park in Houston, Texas, all I knew was the Democrat Party.
Okay.
And so going to Nebraska in that small town, it was an eye-opening for me. I had an opportunity to understand certain things that I didn't learn growing up in the community. And one of the things that I found out that changed my life was the importance of family. How important it is for the husband, the father, to be a provider, to hold people accountable. And so that was the seed that began to change my life. And so once I graduated from McCook Community College in McCook, Nebraska, then I moved back to Houston, went to TSU, and went to school there. And so I ended up going back to, Georgia. And so had an opportunity to experience some things in life and grow. And recently in 2023, I was in my biblical studies and the Lord told me to run for state senate.
Okay, hold on one second. Let's go back a little bit. All right. So you're a part of the Republican Party, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's dive into that some. So historically, in the black community, we're primarily part of the Democratic. So, from your perspective, what did you learn differently about the Republican Party that made you, switch sides per se? Because I'm pretty sure your family voted Democrat the majority of your life, right?
Absolutely, 100%. I just saw family structure. I grew up in a foster care system, right? So I was awarded to the state. So I didn't get an opportunity to experience that type of lifestyle. And I just felt like what the Republican Party stood for as it was introduced to me in McCook, Nebraska, it just resonated with me.
So
and I just saw a difference once I came back to the city and in the community that I grew up in.
Okay, but was the Republican Party, was that the first party that allowed black people to vote in America, or what is that? Some people said that. Is that something that you learned, or is that not historically accurate?
That's accurate, but that wasn't the reason for me.
Okay.
I just liked the way that the men carried themselves. And I just felt like the way how they looked at family and the principles and Christian ethics really inspired me.
Okay, so give me a difference that you could say that will make a person like yourself, even if you were talking to a young man today who maybe family historically voted Democrat, what would you tell him to make him look at the Republican Party in a different light, or even consider more Republican?
Well, first thing I would look at and explain to them is that for decades, our community has been governed by the Democrat Party. And so when you go into different communities, like communities that has an infrastructure of Republicans, and then you come to a community where you have an infrastructure where it's Democrats, particularly when black people are in leadership. And there are some great friends of mine that are Democrats. I don't have anything against them whatsoever, but I just notice how there's a difference in terms of how things are structured and operated. There's a level of accountability that I just don't see in our community that I see in other communities.
So are you talking about from what, housing, just budget overall, or just the way from the federal and the state level, or are you focusing more on from the federal level?
I'm focusing on the state level.
Okay.
And the local community.
All right.
Schools are different, meaning I understand that every school zip code get a different type of budget, etc. But in our community, it seems like we prioritize economic mobility how they pushed the charter school in our community. As a result, it kind of dissolved the level of education that need to be displayed in our community.
So what opposition have you faced when you came out and said you were running state senate candidate for the Republican Party? Like, did people that you maybe grew up with or who believe that you should just be one way, like what type of feedback did you get from them?
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't face no pushback.
Okay.
The reason why is my character. I live in a black community, so I'm a minority on both sides. I'm a minority as it relates to the black community. I am a black Republican with conservative values. And then I'm sometimes the only black Republican around white Republicans. So I believe that my experience at McCook Community College helped me to be able to function in that type of environment. And so I believe that my credibility, my track record in the black community has been a echo of who I am. And so it was kind of like, some people say I never met a black Republican. I didn't know that you were a black Republican. And I always say black Republican because I am proud of my culture, and I don't want that to be misconstrued. And one of the things, Tim, that I believe that what makes me an ally instead of an enemy in the black community as a black Republican amongst black Democrats is that I never said anything negative about the black community so that the white Republicans can like me. And the Republican Party know that I stand strong about my Republican identity and my conservative values. So with that, it's like I'm in good standing on this side and I'm in good standing on that side. And my goal is to build bridges.
Yeah, but don't you think we're at a place now to where it's not about race or gender or anything, it's about what's best for the people, to where, because I think when we speak that way, it kind of causes division among some people. I'm not saying you, but a lot of people, that causes a certain amount of division. So I think that, I think we're at the age that we should get away from that and just focus on, because the world has evolved, man. And I think the more that we draw those lines of division, it creates, just dysfunction amongst people. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I don't agree or disagree. I just believe in reality. I think race will always play a factor in how we live. It's in the fabric of our country. It's in the fabric of how world views are. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the reality. I'm not into race. I just talk about my race because I think like sometimes when people get to a certain level and on a certain platform, they tend to not talk about being a black man. I'm proud of that. It just so happened that, on the political side, I rock with the Republican Party.
Okay, so have you had any people that you were able to personally get to look at your views and switch sides, or just support? Because I'm pretty sure you have friends on both sides of the aisle, correct?
That's a great question. So today, I was talking to a guy named Coach Tate, who is a boxing coach, legendary from Ohio. He's a staunch Democrat. But he told me that because of the way I carry myself, it made him look at things differently. I say that what we as a community have done for so long is that we've given our vote to the Democrat Party, and they know that they're gonna get it. And I think that no party should be able to just depend on this particular community voting for that particular party. I think and believe that you need representation on both sides. That's the way the community will be represented. One of the things that I say is that on the state level, I think oftentimes in our community we focus on the federal level, which is important. But what's more important is what goes on in the state and local level. So for the state of Georgia, I always explain to our community that it's important to have a black Republican on that side of the aisle, considering in the state of Georgia, the House, the Senate, and the governor is Republican. So if you come to the table and you have black Democrats and you have all white Republicans, it just seems to me divisive. However, if you have someone like me who have the interests of the community at the forefront, I'm able to have a voice and be in certain places that we're not there, that we need to be there to make a change.
But you don't think that a lot of people nowadays, it's more more about economics. They focus on the bottom line, like who can get money here, who can bring business to this area. You don't think some people just focus on that and don't really care whether it's Democrat or Republican, or you think that's, people should focus more on, or pay more attention to what party is doing what?
Well, I believe, this is my humble opinion, I believe that it's about policies. And I believe that when you're trying to get policies passed, particularly in our community, that hasn't been a successful situation. And the reason why, like I say, we don't have no representation on that side.
So give me an example of something that you're talking about that you feel like isn't getting enough attention, that a policy that should be pushed in our community. Like, give me something.
So I represent DeKalb County,
Okay.
so District 10. And one of the issues now is the water bill, right? DeKalb County residents are on the hook for $100 million fine because of leadership not dealing with the issue. And when we elected Madam CEO Lorraine Cochran Johnson, she dealt with that because it had to be dealt with. So a person like me, having relationships with the Republican Party at the state capitol, I know certain Republicans that are chairmen on different committees. And so I can go to them and say, hey, if I'm elected as the state senator, say, hey, listen, we want to see how we can get some of the state dollars to DeKalb County to address the water issue, because this water issue is going to be taxing for the residents. And I don't think it's fair for the residents to have to pay for something that should have been addressed by the previous administration. So you had Michael Thurman, you had, what's his name? Burrell Ellis, Lee May. You had a whole bunch of commissioners that has continued to sit on that board of commissioners. I just believe that we need to just clean house and start over. I don't believe that the older generation, yes, they serve their purpose, but I think it's time for a change. And if we don't change, we're going to continue to have the same results, and we're going to continue to complain about things that need to be changed. And sometimes change is uncomfortable, and change will come in a different form. And that's when I come to the forefront. I'm different.
Okay, and I cannot debate you on that one, man. That's a pretty good answer, man. I gotta say. So I noticed your hat, man. What's your?
So the Stafford Boxing Club is a mentoring program that me and my wife started, and we've been awarded the 4th Congressional Award by Congressman Hank Johnson. We have our own day in the United States Library of Congress for our work dealing with at-risk youth. So what we did was we took the sport of boxing, made a curriculum. I believe one of the issues that plague our community, particularly with the youth, is that we're very emotional and we don't have discipline. And if you don't have discipline, you don't have the foundation to be successful. And that's one of the things that I've learned by being up in Nebraska around the white Republicans was discipline. But anyway, so me and my wife, we've been working real hard. Once a month, we pick up food with the Georgia Feeding Family, and we distribute food to kids that are in our program. We partner with Truist Bank, Walmart. One of the things that I think is important for our youth to understand and put in their toolbox is financial literacy.
You feel like, hold on real quick. So you feel like with a part of the boxing program, that's also to help to teach the discipline. And what is it, the training? Is it just the fact of the repetitiveness of it and the dedication to it? So you think that transfers over into regular life, like applying that to the regular life situations?
So the boxing is what hooks them in.
Okay.
But when we get them in, what we do is that we want to start working on your character.
Okay.
I think that one of the unique things about our program is that you have a husband and then you have a wife. And in our community, a lot of the kids that in our program are from single parent home, mostly women. And so we get them in, and one of the things that I think is important that we do is that we show them tough love. And to be honest with you, that's something that they really yearn for. They want to be held accountable. They want someone to show interest in them. And so I'm a big fan of education. I don't play. If you do something wrong, I give you push-ups. If it's something that teachers tell me, you're gonna run. So I wanna make sure that they understand that there are consequences with their actions and decision making. And I also tell them that if you make a bad decision, it not only affect you, but it affect everyone. So if someone make a bad decision, the whole group do something. So I want them to think that if I do something, it's gonna affect me and the people that's connected to us.
Have you got any pushback from any parents?
Man, no, I tell you what, one of the most humbling things that I've been able to experience is for a father
Okay.
to allow me to come into his home and hold his kids accountable. And he lets me do that. I have several single parent women that allows me and my wife to come into their home and hold their daughter or their son accountable. So when it comes to politics, I have the type of discipline that if I'm ever put in a situation, be it Republican, Democrat, Independent, it don't matter. If you ever put me in a situation where it jeopardizes my character, my biblical faith, I will walk away.
So what's your plans coming up? Like, what are you working on this upcoming year, going into 26 from a political standpoint?
So,
What are you trying to accomplish?
so I'm glad that you asked that.
Okay.
So, recently, the chairman for the Cobb County GOP resigned because she received an opportunity of a lifetime to serve as director of cybersecurity for the Trump administration. So it left a vacancy for that position. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm saying this because I like to be transparent. One of the things that I learned when I ran for state senate is about name recognition. Yes, now people know my name. Yes, people had an opportunity to research and do some things, research my background and see what I'm all about. But I think that as it relates to this position, I'm looking at it as a vehicle to become state senator. And as a matter of fact, the state of Georgia has never had a black state, the state of Georgia has never had a black state Republican senator. And that's something that motivates me. And the reason why it motivates me because that's change. So when we talk about change and progress, this is the direction that I think that our community needs to go in that direction. And the reason why I say that because I believe that the black community already operate in conservative values. They just don't know it.
Okay.
And family is very important to me. And I didn't get an opportunity to meet my father. Like I say, he was murdered when I was in my mother. He was a heroin addict.
Sorry to hear that.
No, it's like, so they murdered him, hung him up on the meat hook, etc. So from that point on, I always wanted to have an opportunity to be in the same household. And I think for me, so I've been married to my wife, who's right there, and we've been married for this year makes 17 years faithfully. And I believe that in our community, men are not present in the home. And that is having a big impact in how our kids are operating. That's having an impact in the school system. It just having an impact with so many things.
So when you get in, so in 2026, that's gonna be your big focus. So when you run, again, you're gonna try to focus on this. Once you get that audience, once you get that seat, that's gonna be your biggest focus is trying to improve the community and get a lot of these policies passed.
100%. And see, so once I wasn't successful with the outcome of the 2024 election, I began to go up to the state capitol. And so I start working on a bill, and the bill is halfway through. So this bill And so it was the severity of the car accident injuries that he sustained was the reason why he, passed away. However, because of so many of us people was refused medical treatment, and we would have to be directed to the basement or come through the back door, they used that as to say that, well, he died because he didn't get medical treatment. So I read this book called One Blood, The Death and Resurrection of Dr. Charles Drew. Oh, one more thing. One of the things, one of the requirements of being a member of our mentoring program is that you have to have a library card. It's very important. So because I want kids to always be a fish of knowledge. So people say that, well, in different zip codes, the schools may not have this, the type of books. Well, if you go to the public library, if they don't have it at their library, they might have it in their circuit. If they don't have it, they'll order it. So I want kids to not give me an excuse why they didn't learn what they need to learn. And then in addition to the internet. So anyway, Dr. Drew, he created the first mobile blood bank. So when you see these American Red Cross mobile blood bank, it was him that started this. So Dr. Charles Drew, because of his race, when he donated, they separated his blood. So as a result, he stepped down as an act of protest. So now in our blood, we have certain genetics that are not found in other races. As a result, when it comes to developing plasma products, we treat, even though we supply all the plasma, when they manufacture the plasma, it doesn't treat our community, it treats other communities, right? So this bill that I'm getting passed is important because it brings awareness about the sickle cell anemia, which is a disease amongst us people of color. So once the election ended, I got to the grind, and then I was able to build relationships. So the difference between me and anyone else is that I never was recruited to the Republican Party. No one said, hey, come to me. I didn't do that. When God spoke to me, I did my research. Me and my wife showed up to the DeKalb County GOP because I felt like I'm in DeKalb County. I need to connect with the DeKalb County GOP. So I did my research on the chairman, Marcy McCarthy. I did such a remarkable job doing my research that I gave a pitch to her about her. And as a result, she was very impressed with that. And so my level of where I'm at in the Republican Party is based upon my hard work. And I made it known that I don't want no endorsement. And the reason why, I want my character to be my endorsement. Sometimes you can get endorsement from people and they may have issues with that person who endorsed you.
Yeah, and then once you're involved, you don't want to be connected to that. Well, I tell you what, Furquan, man, definitely drop some knowledge on us tonight, man. And I look forward to what you have going on moving forward in 2026. So people definitely gonna check you out online. Do what I can to do some more research and make sure I can get some people on board, especially with positivity, brother. So I appreciate you.
Man, can you tell people how we first met, man?
Well,
come on, real quick before we get off the air, man. Can you tell the people how we met, man? Just come on, we gotta tell them, man.
Well, we'll say that for the next time.
Very good, very good.
We're not gonna do it today, man.
Very good. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show. Very
no problem,
experience.
And I appreciate you coming back, man. Like I said, we'll be in touch, man. Thank you for the knowledge today.
Yes, sir.
If everybody winning, who's losing? I'm trying to make it make sense. It's like it's so confusing. I see the pain in your eyes from all the lonely nights. I swear I know how.